Und wir wollen die eingefrorenen Vermögenswerte der russischen Zentralbank noch besser nutzen, der Ukraine insgesamt rund 140 Milliarden Euro zusätzlich an zinsfreien Krediten zu gewähren. Diese zusätzlichen Mittel sollen ausschließlich zur militärischen Ausrüstung beitragen, in Tranchen ausgezahlt. Würden sie die militärische Widerstandsfähigkeit der Ukraine über mehrere Jahre hinweg sichern, wenn dies denn notwendig sei.
También miramos a Bielorrusia, y es que tras el alivio parcial de las sanciones y la restauración de los contactos con Estados Unidos, Bielorrusia ha comenzado a acercarse cautelosamente a Europa, es lo que informa la agencia Reuters según fuentes diplomáticas europeas. Minsk estaría intentando demostrar que no depende completamente de Moscú y está listo para el diálogo con Occidente. A finales de septiembre, la Embajada de Bielorrusia en París envió cartas a diplomáticos de varios países proponiendo reuniones con Yuri Abrashevich, embajador de Bielorrusia en el Vaticano y representante ante la UNESCO, quien coordina informalmente el alcance diplomático de Minsk en Europa Occidental. Varios diplomáticos han confirmado que dichas reuniones ya se han celebrado. De Bielorrusia vamos a pasar también a mirar a últimas horas en torno a Polonia. Un tribunal de Varsovia ha denegado este viernes la extradición a Alemania de Vladimir Z, un ciudadano ucraniano sospechoso de participar en el sabotaje de los gasoductos Nord Stream en 2022 y que es reclamado por la justicia alemana. El juez Dariusz Lubowski ha levantado la prisión preventiva contra el ucraniano, para el que se había decretado una detención provisional de 40 días tras su detención el mes pasado cerca de Varsovia. Lubowski declaró que la petición alemana no merece ser atendida porque la justicia de ese país no tiene jurisdicción sobre el atentado, ya que este se produjo en aguas internacionales en el mar Báltico y dado que el gasoducto es atacado a la propiedad al 100% de Rusia y de la empresa estatal Gazprom. Además, las autoridades chinas han alertado este viernes a Estados Unidos de que tomar medidas encaminadas en armar a Taiwán constituye un juego de azar muy peligroso por el que Washington podría acabar pagando un precio muy alto. Unas palabras con las que ha criticado la aprobación por parte del Senado estadounidense de una ley que refuerza la cooperación militar con la isla. El portavoz del Ministerio de Defensa chino, Sun Yaogan, ha instado durante una rueda de prensa a descartar el uso de la Carta de Taiwán en el marco de su política exterior. Ha incidido en que se trata de una cuestión propia de su política interna. Sun ha advertido así de que estas acciones socavan la soberanía y el desarrollo de China, además de poner en peligro la paz y la estabilidad a nivel global. Dice que China se opone tajantemente a este tipo de acciones y la cuestión de Taiwán es una línea roja en las relaciones con Estados Unidos que no debe ser cruzada. Pendientes también de la tensión con Venezuela, escuchando ya en los próximos minutos al presidente ruso Vladimir Putin. Hacemos una pausa, 2 minutos y enseguida la información en Negocios Televisión. Blockchain es una tecnología basada en una cadena de bloques de operaciones descentralizada y pública. Esta tecnología genera una base de datos compartida a la que tienen acceso sus participantes, los cuales pueden rastrear cada transacción que hayan realizado. Para que se hagan una idea, es como un gran libro de contabilidad inmodificable y compartido que van escribiendo una gran cantidad de ordenadores de forma simultánea. El modelo más antiguo de una blockchain se creó a principios de la década de los 90, cuando el científico informático Stuart Haber y el físico Scott Stornetta emplearon técnicas criptográficas en una cadena de bloques como una manera de proteger documentos digitales contra la manipulación de datos. La tecnología blockchain se suele utilizar para el registro de transacciones de criptomonedas, pero es apta para muchos otros tipos de datos digitales y puede aplicarse a una amplia gama de casos de uso. La diferencia que hay entre blockchain y una red centralizada, es decir, un servidor tradicional que almacena datos, es que la red de blockchain se ejecuta en múltiples ordenadores distribuidos por todo el mundo y no en un sitio único. Esto hace que la red blockchain presente una serie de ventajas como la privacidad, la descentralización o la no dependencia de un ejecutor centralizado o la seguridad. Hay 4 tipos de blockchain. Por ejemplo, hay una blockchain pública, también conocida como sin permisos, que es aquella en la que cualquiera puede participar sin restricciones. Suele ser la más común en las criptomonedas. También hay blockchains privadas, que permite a las organizaciones establecer controles sobre quién puede acceder a ella. Hay blockchains híbridas que combinan las características de las dos anteriores. Las organizaciones pueden establecer un sistema privado basado en permisos junto a uno público sin ellos. Y por último, también hay blockchains federadas, cuando el proceso de consenso es controlado por un conjunto preseleccionado de nodos o de partes interesadas. Por último, vamos a comentar los beneficios de la blockchain, y es que ofrece grandes ventajas comerciales que ayudan a las compañías de muchas formas, como por ejemplo, da más confianza entre las partes implicadas al ofrecer datos fiables y compartidos, reduce la necesidad de intermediarios externos, ofrece mayor seguridad, pues todos los miembros de la red deben llegar a un acuerdo sobre la precisión de los datos y las transacciones validadas son inalterables. También crea un registro a prueba de manipulaciones en tiempo real, da mayor eficiencia al eliminar el tiempo perdido en las acciones de conciliación de registros y, por último, permite seguir y localizar bienes o servicios a través de la cadena de suministro. Seguimos en Negocios Televisión, seguimos mirando a las últimas horas pendientes de la señal que nos llega desde el Teatro Bolshoi. Está a punto de comparecer el presidente ruso Vladimir Putin después de su llamada ayer con Donald Trump, después de confirmar esta reunión que tendrá lugar en Hungría dentro de 2 semanas. Hoy decía Peskov un poco más. Enseguida vamos a escuchar al presidente ruso. Vamos a estar atentos también a la Casa Blanca, donde Zelensky está a punto de llegar. Pero antes vamos a seguir con últimas horas. Vamos a contarles que Venezuela ha desplegado miles de tropas cerca de la frontera con Colombia en respuesta al aumento de la actividad militar estadounidense en el Caribe. Informes indican que Estados Unidos ha realizado ataques contra embarcaciones presuntamente involucradas en el narcotráfico, con el resultado de al menos 27 fallecidos. Caracas teme que estas acciones puedan derivar en un intento de cambio de gobierno. El presidente Trump ha insinuado la expansión de las acciones militares, incluyendo posibles operaciones terrestres. Ha autorizado acciones encubiertas de la CIA contra Venezuela. Mientras tanto, el ejército venezolano realiza ejercicios militares y aumenta su presencia en zonas fronterizas críticas. El presidente colombiano Gustavo Petro ha estado a la ONU a investigar las acciones de Trump, que según él también han perjudicado a los colombianos. También en Estados Unidos les contamos que el mayor general William Hank Taylor, comandante general de las fuerzas estadounidenses en Corea del Sur, confirmó que recurre a ChatGPT para tomar decisiones clave de mando y personales. En una conferencia de la Asociación del Ejército de Estados Unidos en Washington, el oficial aseveró que últimamente se ha vuelto muy cercano con Chat. Decía, estoy pidiendo que se construyan, intentando construir modelos que nos ayuden a todos mediante este chatbot. Según Taylor, la inteligencia artificial es útil para la toma de decisiones y el análisis. Dice que como comandante quiere tomar decisiones más informadas y quiere asegurarse de tomar decisiones en el momento oportuno para obtener una ventaja. Pendientes del ejército de Estados Unidos, la última hora pasa por el Teatro Bolshoi. Está hablando ya en estos momentos Vladimir Putin.
Сегодня поздравляю с юбилеем всех, кто работал и работает на телеканале. И, конечно, Маргариту Симонян, вашего лидера, бессменного главного редактора. Дорогая Маргарита, мы все знаем, в этом коллективе точно знают все, как вам сейчас непросто и через какой период своей жизни, вашей семьи вы сейчас проходите. Но на работе вы всегда проявляете мужество, стойкость. Уверен, что ты справишься и сейчас.
Спасибо. Я обещаю.
Твои друзья, твои коллеги, они всегда были рядом и будут рядом с тобой. За 20 лет в сфере медиа прошло много событий. Это целая эпоха. И канал Russia Today прошел путь от идеи до глобального бренда, о котором знают сегодня во всем мире. Благодарю ваш деятельный, творческий, сплоченный коллектив за высокий профессионализм, за преданность профессии и долгу. за то, что вы смело, самоотверженно и настойчиво отстаиваете правду в глобальном информационном пространстве. Мы помним, как в начале 2000-х ведущие западные средства массовой информации злоупотребляли своим монопольным положением, а зачастую, точнее, практически всегда, под видом объективных новостей выдавали на гора все, что хотели, пытаясь насаждать в умах и сердцах миллионов людей не просто какие-то новые правила, а скорее даже основанное на ложных нравственных ценностях новое цивилизационное пространство. И до сих пор вызывает возмущение, когда террористов, которые захватывали заложников и организовывали смертоносные взрывы в наших городах, школах, в больницах, в эфире в известных западных каналах называли повстанцами. Хотели, чтобы мир сочувствовал этим мерзавцам и где-то убийцам. Нам тогда было сложно информационно защищать правду, отстаивать подлинную картину происходящего, потому что за пределами нашей страны у нас не было своего мощного голоса. Подчеркну, что суверенитет России, за который мы боролись, продолжаем бороться и будем бороться всегда, зависит в том числе и от нашей способности доносить до людей на планете объективную, непредвзятую информацию. Поэтому RT должен был появиться. И это и произошло 20 лет тому назад. И перед компанией стояла нелегкая задача – выстроить работу на качественно новом, содержательном и технологическом уровне. Искренне рад, что у нас, у вас это получилось. И получилось с блеском. Миллионы граждан в разных странах вам поверили. Более того, оказалось, что есть огромный спрос на новости, которые отличаются от заезженной пропаганды, которая сегодня, если по-честному, мало чем отличается от хорошо многим в этом зале находящимся, от хорошо нам известных штампов пропаганды советской, еще советских времен. Вот так и работают. Именно поэтому, думаю, настоящие профессионалы, в том числе из Соединенных Штатов Америки.
Estamos escuchando al presidente ruso Vladimir Putin hablando sobre los medios occidentales, sobre también, bueno, estas declaraciones que vemos prácticamente todos los días. Hablando de la propaganda rusa, dice que esto es un cliché y que Occidente vive con valores que están desfasados. Seguimos escuchando a Putin respondiendo a las élites, a los medios occidentales.
В числе ведущих легендарного основателя Wikileaks Джулиана Ассанжа, мировую звезду телевидения Ларри Кинга, президента Эквадора Рафаэля Каррера и многих-многих других. Вы быстро набирали популярность и влияние. И, как следствие, конкуренты вам стали просто завидовать. А иногда, на мой взгляд, не просто завидовать, но и бояться. Это верный признак того, что вы работаете на шаг впереди и сами задаете информационную повестку, делаете нужное, значимое дело. И вот когда вы заявили о себе в полную силу, тогда те самые конкуренты и стоящие за их спиной правящие, так называемые правящие элиты, показали свое настоящее лицо. Сейчас только Маргарита об этом рассказывала. Да, она мне так регулярно рассказывала о том, как на вас пытались и пытаются прижимать на площадках за рубежом. Годами они учили нас, как надо жить, как должны работать средства массовой информации, как нужно понимать демократию и что это такое демократия, что такое настоящая свобода слова. Убеждали в важности конкуренции, плюрализма мнений и так далее. Но что же стало происходить с этими наставниками, когда появился RT и сотни миллионов людей начали смотреть телеканал, предлагающий новую интерпретацию событий? Реакция вот этих самых элит, о которых я уже вспоминал, была примитивной и прямолинейной. Запретить отменить, заблокировать. Вы знаете, я когда работал еще директором Федеральной службы безопасности в России, уже тогда пытался даже в таком ведомстве, как ФСБ, отменить подобный стиль работы. Говорил, что надо работать тоньше, надо убеждать, надо купировать угрозы другими средствами, а не тем, что у нас когда-то еще во времена Советского Союза называли «хватать и не пущать». Вот мы сейчас видим, что именно так и происходит, к сожалению, в информационной сфере, в отношении вас, в отношении вашего канала. Очень просто обвинить в пропаганде и дезинформации, во вмешательстве во внутренние дела. А ведь вы ничего не навязывали, а просто предлагали альтернативную, правдивую точку зрения. И таким образом отстаивали в том числе и право на выбор зрителей и слушателей ваших. Но уже в самом наличии такого выбора партнеры видели угрозу для себя. И за годы становления РТ вы искренне пытались выстраивать и выстроили именно такие партнерские отношения с аудиторией. И вам это тоже удалось. Но любой монополии рано или поздно, безусловно, приходит конец, вне зависимости от того, сколько платят за попытки их сохранить, эти монополии, те, кто вообще их содержит. Сегодня в набирающем силу многополярном мире нетерпимость к любой суверенной и независимой мысли не просто анахронизм. Это огромные препятствия для развития взаимопонимания и доверия между народами, которые необходимо всем нам. И это препятствие, так же как и любые другие препятствия, безусловно, будет устранено. По-другому это невозможно. Уже 2 десятилетия, в том числе и благодаря РТ, мы слышим целую палитру голосов со всей земли. Жители Азии, Африки, Латинской Америки теперь с вашей помощью говорят без оглядки на одобрение бывших колониальных держав и бывших колониальных властей. Очень важно, что телеканал РТ предоставляет свою площадку журналистам, ученым, экспертам со всего мира. И главное, люди разных взглядов, убеждений, национальностей, несмотря на запреты, технические препятствия, продолжают смотреть РТ, читать ваши социальные сети. Даже сами представители западных элит признают, что аудитория в Russia Today больше, чем у их собственных телеканалов. Только за прошлый год общее количество просмотров проектов канала в социальных сетях достигло почти 24 миллиардов, а суммарная аудитория телеканала на платформах платного телевидения составляет почти 1 миллиард зрителей. Внушает, эта цифра внушает уверенность в том, что и дальше все будет развиваться именно в таком ключе. Понятно почему. И в Европе, и в США, и в других странах граждане стремятся сохранить национальную культуру, память поколений, противостоять социальному неравенству, разрушению института семьи, посягательства на невинность детей. Все это созвучно позиции России по этим вопросам. И во многом, благодаря РТ, в мире узнали, что наша страна твердо отстаивает традиционные ценности, является их оплотом в современной жизни, полной противоречий, конфликтов, разумеется, и вызовов. Причем мы никого не...
Seguimos escuchando al presidente ruso, al propio Vladimir Putin, que está hablando sobre la cobertura de los medios occidentales. Dice, bueno, pues que tienen envidia, sus competidores, dice que tienen envidia de la magnitud que tienen los medios rusos, de cómo triunfan, sobre todo en las redes sociales. Dice que hay mucha demanda de noticias que difieran de la propaganda occidental. Dice que es muy fácil culpar a la desinformación, pero que los competidores están celosos del éxito de Rusia. También habla sobre, en este caso sobre todo de la Unión Europea, dice que en Occidente, que en Europa tiene miedo de la libertad de información. Seguimos escuchando al presidente ruso.
Все большего числа стран, людей, народа. И хочу подчеркнуть, вы ведете трудную, напряженную работу на своем участке и за будущее нашего народа, и за будущее миллионов людей на планете, которые стремятся к настоящей истинной свободе. Дорогие друзья, журналисты, операторы, коллеги из других медийных проектов РТ всегда в эпицентре и на острие событий. всегда на передовой, в прямом и переносном смысле этого слова. Бесстрашие и приверженность правде – главные черты сотрудников канала. Мы видели это и в Ираке, и в Сирии, в целом на Ближнем Востоке, и во многих других горячих точках. И сейчас в зоне специальной военной операции вы продолжаете эту же традицию. Рискуя своей жизнью, вы рассказываете о героизме и подвигах бойцов и командиров. Много примеров тому, что в Арте работают люди, верные своей профессии, преданные родной стране и своим убеждениям, потому что даже иностранцы, которые работают у нас, граждане других государств, а таких немало на канале, они, отстаивая свои собственные убеждения, помогают своей стране продвигать эти мысли на территории своих стран, среди своего населения. Они поступают абсолютно честно и открыто. Только что перед тем, как зайти сюда, на историческую сцену Большого театра, мы встречались и беседовали с вашими коллегами, работающими в зоне боевого соприкосновения и снимающими фильмы о героях специальной военной операции, которые присутствуют в этом зале, и я бы попросил их отдельно поприветствовать. И на что обратил внимание и бойцы, которые пришли с передовой СВО, и журналисты, которые работают на канале, они выглядели как одна семья, потому что все они мужественные люди, героические люди, которые борются за свои убеждения. Вот в этом ценность вашей работы. Дорогие друзья, дорогие друзья, 20 лет – это этап большого пути вашего канала и вашего замечательного коллектива. Мир стремительно меняется, технологии трансформируют журналистику, социальные сети задают новые ритмы, аудитория все чаще смотрит новости в цифровом формате. Вы успешно отвечаете на эти вызовы, остаетесь смелыми, открытыми и креативными. У Арти есть главное – опыт, профессиональная команда и доверие зрителей. В Арте свободолюбивая атмосфера, очень много молодых людей, за которыми будущее. Поэтому впереди у вас, безусловно, новые победы. Я желаю продолжать развиваться, находить новые форматы и новые темы в острой борьбе за умы и за сердца людей. И чтобы побеждать в этой борьбе, необходимо и дальше использовать ваше секретное, стратегическое, высокоточное, межконтинентальной дальности оружие. Правду. Голос правды, голос России должен звучать громко, уверенно и убедительно. С праздником! С днем рождения!
Спасибо, Владимир Владимирович. Да вы пока присядьте, когда Владимир Владимирович будет уходить, тогда встаньте. Дадите два слова мне сказать в ответ? Их не остановить, Владимир Владимирович.
Спасибо большое.
Спасибо. Если бы я умела краснеть, я сейчас стояла бы здесь багровая как рак. Вот вы упомянули, кстати, Рафаэль Корrea, он сейчас в этом зале.
Escuchábamos al presidente ruso Vladimir Putin hablando sobre los medios de comunicación, hablaba también sobre cómo empiezan a consumirse los medios digitales, hablaba sobre los héroes, refiriéndose a los combatientes de la guerra en Ucrania. Dice que tanto los soldados como los periodistas que están cubriendo esta guerra son unos héroes, y terminaba con una frase que puede pasar a la historia. Dice que la verdad es el arma secreta de Rusia, dice que la verdad es el arma intercontinental de Rusia. Literalmente son las palabras del presidente ruso en esta comparecencia en el Teatro Bolshoi. Dice que la voz de la verdad y la voz de Rusia deben sonar fuerte y convincente. Dice que es un arma intercontinental, secreta y de alta precisión de la prensa rusa, pendientes del presidente ruso, pendientes de Vladimir Putin. Nosotros vamos a mirar a más últimas horas, vamos a poner el foco también en la NASA. En estos momentos de mucha tensión geopolítica hay otro nombre que se está comentando y mucho en las últimas horas. Llevamos varios días informándoles sobre el 3i Atlas y vamos a contarles más últimas horas a este respecto. En concreto, la información de última hora habla de que durante siglos los cometas fueron presagios de catástrofes. Hoy algunos se atreven a sugerir que pueden venir de otra civilización. 3i Atlas, el tercer objeto interestelar confirmado que atraviesa nuestro sistema solar, ha despertado un interés global que por sus peculiaridades ha dado lugar a más incógnitas que certezas. Detectado el 1 de julio de 2025 por el sistema de observación Atlas, su paso cerca de Marte ha permitido por primera vez obtener imágenes de un visitante de otro sistema estelar vistas desde la superficie de otro planeta. En una entrevista reciente con la BBC, el físico y divulgador británico Brian Cox ha reflexionado sobre la magnitud de este acontecimiento. Dice que se está hablando mucho sobre este extraordinario cometa llamado 3i Atlas que está atravesando el sistema solar. A medida que avanza, vamos descubriendo más y más cosas sobre él. En este momento está pasando por Marte. Decía, me parece maravilloso que tengamos fotografías de los rovers en la superficie de Marte. Las imágenes difundidas por la Agencia Espacial Europea y por la NASA a comienzos de octubre muestran un tenue punto luminoso sobre el horizonte marciano, un objeto de otro sistema solar visible desde otro mundo. Cox insistía en lo que esto significa. Dice que es una fotografía tomada por un robot en la superficie de Marte que miró al cielo y vio eso que ahora sabemos que es algo de otro sistema solar. El cometa, oficialmente designado 3i Atlas, recorre una órbita hiperbólica que lo llevará a abandonar el sistema solar para no regresar jamás. Según la ESA, su velocidad supera los 60 kilómetros por segundo y su núcleo, de entre 0,3 y 5 kilómetros de diámetro, muestra una actividad inusual. Emite agua y compuestos volátiles incluso a grandes distancias del Sol, lo que sugiere una estructura química distinta a la de los cometas locales. Estudios preliminares apuntan a que este fragmento se formó hace unos 7.500 millones de años antes de que existieran la Tierra o el propio Sol. Ha estado viajando por la Vía Láctea y lo extraordinario es que en realidad forma parte del recorrido. La frase resume su fascinación. Un cuerpo que nació en otra estrella cruzando casualmente nuestro cielo mientras la humanidad lo observa desde dos planetas distintos. Pendientes de Estados Unidos, han escuchado el discurso del presidente ruso de Vladimir Putin, que ayer hablaba con Donald Trump, quedaba en Hungría dentro de unas 2 semanas. Ha dicho el presidente ruso que el arma secreta que tiene es la verdad. Vamos a conectar con la Casa Blanca. Es la imagen que nos llega ya en estos momentos a la espera de que acuda, a la espera de que llegue el presidente ucraniano Volodymyr Zelensky. Nosotros vamos a hacer una pausa, 2 minutos, enseguida toda la información, las claves en Negocios Televisión.
Mudarte de ciudad es un gran cambio y alquilar tu casa puede parecer arriesgado. ¿Estará tu vivienda protegida? Con SEAC, olvídate de preocupaciones. Nosotros garantizamos tu renta pase lo que pase. Disfruta de tu nueva etapa con total confianza. Alquila tranquilo. SEAC responde.
Saltas al vacío pensando que no tienes red. Los problemas del negocio se confunden con los de tu vocación. Y necesitas liberarte de las preocupaciones del día a día. De las nóminas, las hipotecas, los alquileres, seguros, declaraciones. De pelear con todos y con todo. Aquí hay un banco que piensa en ti, que te entiende mejor que nadie y que te acompaña para que te dediques plenamente a aquello para lo que has nacido. Es Arquia Banca, el banco de los profesionales. Respira.
Juanma Moreno, esto es de lo mejor del día, ¿eh? Va a bajarle los impuestos a los andaluces que tengan una mascota en casa. Serán hasta 100 euros por animal para pagar el veterinario. Esto es visión a largo plazo. Envejecimiento poblacional, ¿cómo lo evitamos? Con más perritos y gatitos. Si es que lo del PP es para cogerlos y pensárselo bien, ¿eh? Ve el modelo y el envejecimiento poblacional y dice, pero si es que los que nos van a pagar las pensiones son los perritos. Es el PP en Andalucía. Es de puñetera coña. Por un lado, bajan los impuestos a los perritos y a la vez en el Congreso de los Diputados, propuesta de Vox, los jóvenes que vayan a acceder a la primera vivienda y los que vayan a acceder a la vivienda habitual, le quitamos el IVA para que pueda acceder mejor. El PSOE el PP y Tokiski votando contra ellos, el PP con todos los demás, ¿qué votó el PP? Votan en contra. Pero no se preocupen, que esto la arregla Espinosa de los Monteros. En cuanto coja la batuta económica del Partido Popular, esto Espinosa de los Monteros, no se preocupen, que lo arregla enseguida.
Seguimos en Negocios Televisión, pendientes de esta reunión en el despacho Oval, esperando en los próximos minutos a Volodymyr Zelensky, en un momento de tensión geopolítica, en un momento en el que la llamada entre Trump y Putin es sin duda la noticia más importante, pero también había un mensaje hoy por parte de Donald Trump que dice, bueno, que va a reunirse con Xi Jinping dentro de 2 semanas. Dice que los aranceles no se van a mantener tan altos. Esto está impactando en los mercados. Hemos visto cómo Wall Street producía pérdidas. De hecho, se ha girado totalmente. Los futuros venían con duras caídas. Ahora venía incluso subiendo un poquito. Pero vamos a mirar sobre todo a los metales preciosos. Les contábamos antes caídas en torno al 5% para el platino. Les decíamos que la plata y el oro estaban cayendo. No tanto, estaban cerca del 2%. Ojo cómo se está desplomando en estos momentos la plata, pérdidas en torno al 5% en medio de las tensiones geopolíticas. Ayer les contábamos el máximo histórico, los $53. También hemos contado durante los últimos días, durante las últimas semanas, máximos históricos en el oro. Pues ahora todo lo contrario, vemos fuertes caídas para los metales preciosos, sobre todo la plata, cediendo cerca de un 5%. Muy pendientes del impacto de la geopolítica en los mercados, a la espera, como decimos, en los próximos minutos de la llegada de Zelensky a la Casa Blanca. Nosotros vamos a seguir con el análisis y tenemos a Ángel Losada, ex embajador de España en Irán. ¿Qué tal, Ángel? Muy buenas tardes.
Muy bien, como siempre, con mucho gusto de estar con vosotros y felicitaros por vuestros programas.
Pues encantados de tenerle por aquí, como digo, con muchísima actualidad geopolítica. Hemos escuchado a Putin, estamos a punto de ver a Zelensky en la Casa Blanca. Quiero saber cómo valora la llamada de ayer, la reunión en Hungría y sobre todo si cree que estamos más cerca de una paz en Ucrania.
Bueno, yo creo que no era un poco lo que pensaba justamente desarrollar ahora, pero hablando de este tema, yo creo que Trump va a intentar hacer todo lo posible para llegar a esa paz, pero va a ser muy difícil. Todo va a depender también de los Tomahawk, como habéis visto, pero estamos en un nuevo escenario geopolítico ahora totalmente diferente y en el que todavía persiste y pesa, creo que muchísimo, todo lo que se refiere a Oriente Medio y el proceso de paz en Oriente Medio. Yo la verdad estoy más bien centrado ahora en este tema, que yo creo que es el más importante en este momento, porque lo de Putin y Trump, vamos a ver, he oído antes que hablaba por ejemplo, de la gran información o el servicio informativo que tiene Rusia, y es verdad, que una de las zonas que mejor conozco, que es el Sahel, desde luego Rusia hace en el Sahel con una maquinaria, voy a decir casi soviética, unos programas de propaganda dignos de Goebbels, vamos, absolutamente muy bien rodados y muy bien preparados frente a una incapacidad que reconozco tenemos los países occidentales frente a eso. Pero en fin, si me permiten, me gustaría más bien hablar del tema un poco en Oriente Medio, que se ha hablado mucho en estos últimos días, pero que yo creo que desde el punto de vista iraní está ahora causando un profundo malestar, si me permites, por supuesto.
Una semana que estaba marcada por esta llamada, ¿no?, entre Trump y Putin. Estamos pendientes del despacho Oval, pero una semana que comenzaba con esta cumbre en Egipto. Hemos visto a 30 líderes mundiales, hemos visto al propio Trump firmando esta paz. Le quiero preguntar por esto, Ángel. ¿Es una paz que puede extenderse en el tiempo? ¿Es un acuerdo fiable el que se firmaba este lunes?
Vamos a ver, el acuerdo que se firmó este lunes es, yo creo, mucho más profundo y mucho más importante porque crea un nuevo escenario geopolítico totalmente diferente al que teníamos antes. A pesar de las bravuconadas que ha dicho, que dice el propio Trump, con las exageraciones, hay detrás de esto una estrategia, yo creo, perfectamente diseñada, que pasa, en primer lugar, por supuesto, por el desarme, tanto desde el punto de vista político como militar de Hamas. Por supuesto, eso es lo más importante, apoyado por los países árabes. No hay que recordar que en julio pasado la Liga Árabe incluso hablaba de ese desarme en unos anuncios que nunca se habían oído antes. Y nos encontramos ante un nuevo escenario geopolítico porque Trump ha sido bastante hábil para involucrar a países musulmanes, no solamente árabes, sino también países musulmanes como los pakistaníes e Indonesia, para llevar a cabo justamente su plan. Eso ha dejado un poco en fuera de juego, desde luego, desgraciadamente, porque soy muy europeísta, lo reconozco, ha dejado totalmente en fuera de juego a la Unión Europea. Creo que eso lo hemos dicho y lo hemos visto, a pesar de la presencia del presidente del Consejo Europeo, pero realmente Europa ha quedado fuera. Pero estamos en un momento en que en Irán, y es a mí lo que ahí me atrae muchísimo, en Irán ha habido un gran debate entre los dos grandes grupos que conforman la política iraní, que es siempre dentro del régimen, por supuesto, que es el grupo reformador y el grupo más conservador. El grupo reformador decía, Irán tiene que participar, porque no hay que olvidarse, no sé si se ha dicho, pero Irán estaba invitada a la conferencia de Sharm el Sheikh. Estaba invitada por al-Sisi, pero también por el propio Trump, que habló en su discurso luego en la Knesset, que Irán quiere un acuerdo. Bueno, pues ha habido un debate muy profundo y ataques muy duros por parte de los más radicales contra los reformadores, diciendo que Irán no podía ir porque era reconocer a Israel, a lo cual los otros han contestado inmediatamente que Israel no iba a estar presente en Sharm el Sheikh, que no era reconocerlo, y que luego el vacío, y ahí los reformadores tienen un punto, que el vacío creado por la no presencia de Irán puede impedir no solamente que haya un acuerdo a largo plazo, porque Irán quizás no tiene capacidad de crear algo, pero tiene una capacidad desestabilizadora enorme. Irán no puede estar ausente de eso. Aún así, obviamente, tanto el presidente Pezeshkian como Arakchi, que es el ministro de Asuntos Exteriores, decidieron finalmente que no iban a asistir. Les han tratado de traidores. El antiguo presidente Rouhani, que era un reformador, dijo que Irán tenía que negociar incluso con Estados Unidos, frente a lo cual el parlamento iraní se ha levantado en su contra, incluso lo han criticado. No sé si le puede pasar algo o no, pero hay un debate interno muy profundo sobre qué puede hacer Irán. Y luego han rebatado o han rechazado todas las tesis que ha presentado Trump contra Irán. En primer lugar, ya lo he dicho, que Irán quiere un acuerdo. Han dicho, nosotros no queremos un acuerdo. Eso lo han dicho los más radicales, pero en el fondo lo que resuma, en eso sí tiene razón Trump, es que harán cualquier cosa para preservar el régimen. Es la supervivencia del régimen lo que va a estar por encima de todo. Pero no hay que menospreciar la capacidad que tiene Irán de boicotear o de echar abajo todo ese plan, que puede ser enorme, porque no hay que olvidar la capacidad de Irán de 90 millones de habitantes, que es lo que tiene, y hace frontera además con Pakistán, que es uno de los grandes aliados que ahora tiene Estados Unidos en todo ese proceso, en toda esa presencia internacional que quiere Estados Unidos que esté presente justamente en la Franja de Gaza. Entonces nos encontramos en un momento muy posible en el cual, aunque no fue citado directamente, quizás se vislumbra algo de esperanza sobre la posibilidad de los dos estados. Es muy difícil porque ni lo quiere Irán, ni lo quiere el propio Israel. Muchas veces cuando yo hablaba con las autoridades iraníes les decía, pero si tenéis la misma posición que Israel, no quieren dos estados, queréis un solo estado. Sí, pero cada uno palestino y el otro solamente israelí. El hecho es que estamos ahora en esta situación en la cual los países del Golfo están apoyando ese problema. Si hay una cosa que nadie ha mencionado, creo yo, no lo he oído, que es fundamental. Frente a las costas de Gaza hay petróleo, y hay mucho petróleo. Y ese petróleo está codiciado, sin lugar a duda, por todos ellos, no sé si para crear esa riviera, pero por lo menos para la reconstrucción, que vendría no solamente por fondos de los países del Golfo y fondos europeos, porque desgraciadamente Europa paga pero no juega, como decían, somos un payer pero no un player, somos un país que paga pero no participamos. Pues todo eso hace que quizás ese proyecto que parecía tan imposible de crear una riviera, no sería una riviera, pero de crear una franja de Gaza en la cual haya un futuro de vivir mejor, pues quizás hay una posibilidad, pero para eso falta muchísimo. Ahora yo me quedaría en 2 puntos, en ese debate interno que hay hoy día en Irán, muy duro, sobre si participan o no han participado, pero si participan en el futuro, y todo va a depender si en ello ven que está en juego o no la supervivencia del régimen, y en segundo lugar, que estamos frente a un cambio geopolítico total en Oriente Medio, que ha sido realmente programado por Trump y que nos puede llevar a una situación totalmente nueva en la que Irán tendrá y tiene que decir algo sin lugar a duda.
Bueno, pues veremos qué dice Donald Trump, veremos qué pasa con Oriente Medio, si este alto el fuego dura o no en el tiempo, que esperemos que sí. Muchísimas gracias, Ángel, por estar con nosotros. Un placer, muchas gracias.
De acuerdo.
Muy buena tarde.
Un gusto estar con vosotros.
Nosotros
Gracias.
Que vamos a mirar en directo la señal que nos llega en estos momentos desde la Casa Blanca, donde se espera en los próximos minutos a Volodymyr Zelensky, en el momento en el que diputados ucranianos dicen que la cuestión de los Tomahawks está parada. La noticia en estos momentos es que los misiles Tomahawk no se enviarían a Estados Unidos. Ayer le preguntaban por esto a Donald Trump y decía que todo el mundo quiere los Tomahawk, pero que Estados Unidos también lo necesita. Dice, por cierto, que hablaba de esto con Vladimir Putin y que no le hizo mucha gracia esta idea. Vamos a ver en los próximos minutos a Zelensky, pero antes vamos a recordar lo que pasó hace apenas unos meses, 28 de febrero, reunión entre Donald Trump y Zelensky en la Casa Blanca y un choque histórico en el despacho oval. Esto es lo que pasaba hace unos meses. Enseguida vamos a ver lo que sucede hoy.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelensky of Ukraine. And we've been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually, beyond both countries. And we have something that is a very fair deal. And we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth. But it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much. And we will continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close. It's something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal. But we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. You're losing thousands of soldiers. So on both sides, we're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop. And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that, I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters. And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting or we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for the invitation. And really, I hope that this first document, will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation, and of course the infrastructure or security guarantees, because for today I understand what Europe is ready to do, and of course I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do, and I really count on your strong position to stop Putin, and you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom and democracy, and of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course, we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that these crazy Russians, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names, they changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back, and really it's a big dream, task and goal for me and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images, how it's just can I now?
Yeah, please.
1 minute. Just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, so they do a lot of bad things. So out of, even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will share with you. And I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yep, that's tough stuff.
I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors, because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. At the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. This is pastor, you see.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So thank you very much.
We want to get that entered, right?
Yeah. Of course we will.
And I think we will. And
we have to, of course.
Do you have any questions, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. How much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected, but still it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of rare earths. So we're going to be using that, taking it, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it was something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil and we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do. This puts us in great shape.
Long-term security for Ukraine. How is this provided?
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it. And we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And, you know, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money, and what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but he had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now, at least we're protected, because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country. This allows us to do this.
Will you continue?
I'm sorry. Can I?
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe, because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they have our friends, and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No. No.
Don't argue with it.
No.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take, and do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington. But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know, but I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak, and I don't want to have that. You know, think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed needlessly.
They came to our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President, will you continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're going to be continuing.
President Zelensky, do you feel like the U.S. is on your side, that that President Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president, speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war, and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, with really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies, to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President, or when, he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall.
We've had very, very good talks.
What about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelensky just said that there'd be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you. Firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. It's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile, to put it mildly. They've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out, and as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and we won it by a lot, that was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. the districts. You look at the areas of red. Take a look at a map. This was a big mandate, and this was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
My second question for President Zelensky.
No.
Why don't you wear a suit?
Why?
You're the highest level in this country's office, and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see, do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting
I don't
the
have
office.
such. I will wear a costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one, maybe something like yours. Yes, maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than Thank you.
Thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much, because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement, because we needed what they had, and we're treating, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much, because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet, because I want to get the deal done. You fall into the same trap like everybody else. 1,000,000 times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stops shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. We have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is going to be over. Question? Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
President, thank you.
Thank you.
Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging with Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved, because there should have been no involvement, because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away, and you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer,
Please,
sorry,
go ahead.
please. please.
And I do like your clothing, Larry.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So I have more serious things than answer on such questions. I will answer on more serious questions if I can. Yeah. So please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will never work, because I'm like a president. I have this experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But he never broke to me. Never broke.
No, you were the president. You were the president during.
He never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods. He had conversations with our side, and we had Normandy format. You know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia, and he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees. Security guarantees, maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough, because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have, all the world knows that we have meeting, yes? Why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here, and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States as the main and strongest ally and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all the systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop, and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. You know, it's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans, in media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Mr. President, may I have one more question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I asked the President
they have to pay.
this question.
This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay. This is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have in Europe, about 300 billion, we can use them. We can use for innovation and buy military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know.
Go ahead, please. Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved, and it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. but I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between, why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful, but we have put in far more than they have, and I think they should equalize. Yeah, please, go ahead.
About the agreement today, what changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
what was the deciding factor?
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed. I didn't think we were going to make a deal, and we ended up making the deal. So that changed. You know?
Mr. President, how do you envision a trilateral summit with President Zelensky and?
I don't know, but it's, well, they don't like each other. I can tell you that. Okay? They do not like each other. This is not a love match, and it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen, okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President?
About sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is a war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the President. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the President said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers, it doesn't matter, do you have ocean or not, your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kyiv or Odessa, which is known to be a very dear Black Sea?
It was my question.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa. but a lot of cities have been destroyed. There are a lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
No,
and a lot of things have
Mr. President, you have to come and to look. No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online. But we live. Ukraine is fighting, and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything.
Pendientes de lo que sucedía en la Casa Blanca hace prácticamente unos 8 meses. Es la imagen en directo que nos llega ahora mismo desde el despacho Oval. Está llegando el coche ucraniano, está el presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, en la puerta de la Casa Blanca. En estos momentos, como ven, sale del coche Volodymyr Zelensky, le está saludando ya Donald Trump. Vamos a ver, parece que incluso lleva traje el presidente ucraniano, sí, bastante más apañado que en el vídeo que estaban viendo de hace apenas unos meses. Vemos palmaditas de Trump en la espalda, en un momento en el que se debate si se van a enviar o no los misiles Tomahawk, después de que Trump hablase ayer mismo con Putin. Le indica ahora cómo entrar al despacho Oval, mira a los periodistas y entran en la Casa Blanca Trump y Zelensky. En unos minutos comienza esta comparecencia, esta reunión en el despacho Oval. Parece que más amigable. Vamos a volver a ver lo que pasaba hace apenas unos meses en la Casa Blanca.
Prime Minister Starmer claims repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it, so was I. So was Marco, and we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about that?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of the British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made in Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday, and I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the President's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is we believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, on the deal, is there any other oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all critical?
A little bit. We'll see.
On LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world, by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase U.S. LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No,
Mr. President,
we don't need that.
Mr. President, I just wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you...
I've spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay, and how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines, and in areas that Russia...
A very good question. Thank you so much.
Would you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area It's a very big area we're talking about, so we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian?
They'll be protected. The agreement will protect them. The agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement.
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or orders Russian aggression in those spots?
I just told you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions. Right. Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings, I don't think they're going to survive. Let's go. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Since I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking with my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question. Yeah, please.
Hey, I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of...
Pendientes de lo que pasaba el 28 de febrero, vamos a conectar con el despacho Oval, reunidos ya Trump y Zelensky. Les escuchamos.
Some of the people, if the cabinet members are good, if they're doing a good job, we'll let them come, along with some others, right? We're going to have a good time. December 5th. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin. And I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed, and we want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're gonna get it ended. So I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the President to say a few words. Thank you, President.
Pleasure. Glad to meet you again, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did it. And I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that, yes, we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war. And we really need it. We see that They don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses and in economy and people, and I think this is a very important moment. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls. Yesterday I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies, and they're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our infrastructure, Russian attacks and etc. And I had also meetings, thanks to your team, we had meetings with a good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it after with details where we are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Very good. And very good. And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I hope people notice. It's a good. It's actually very stylish. I like it.
President Trump.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Under the Biden administration, the White House was fearing of a possible escalation. They were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of this escalation.
Yeah.
Would your administration allow Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia?
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President, will President Zelensky join you in Hungary to meet President Putin?
Because it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. Done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and he will, I think he'll be a very good host.
President Trump. President Trump. President Trump. Right here.
It's
President Trump.
Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
With Putin. Trilateral meeting, or is it just you and Putin?
To be determined, but I would say...
Primeros minutos de esta reunión bilateral entre Donald Trump y Volodymyr Zelensky con el presidente de Estados Unidos, que dice que Zelensky es un líder fuerte, dice que es un hombre que ha pasado por mucho. Zelensky ha respondido, ha dado la enhorabuena por el alto el fuego en Oriente Medio, dice que es el momento de terminar la guerra en Ucrania. Ya tenemos el primer momento que se va a viralizar con un Donald Trump que decía que Zelensky está muy elegante con esta chaqueta, lo decíamos, ha pasado de las críticas a llevar traje en la Casa Blanca. Seguimos escuchando a Donald Trump.
A lot of you were with me last week with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along. These two leaders do not like each other, and we want to make it comfortable for everybody. So one way or the other we'll be involved in threes, but it may be separated.
President Trump. Mr. President. President Trump
doesn't agree to peace in Hungary.
Was he what? Where are you from?
From Ukraine. He actually had a
Okay, good.
conversation with me.
Good, yeah.
What if Mr. President Putin doesn't agree to peace in Hungary? What do you do then? Do you have...
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, you know, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or it wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
President Trump, Kara Castronova from Lindell TV. And although I love asking you questions, today my question is for President Zelensky
Sure.
of Ukraine.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Our President Zelensky, President Trump, just brokered a peace deal in the Middle East that all Americans, both sides of the aisle, are very proud of. But to meet that deal, both sides had to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways to make a peace deal for your war as well. What specific concessions are you willing to make to end this war with Russia? Will you give up joining NATO? Americans have foreign war fatigue, and our president, as he said, we need our tomahawks too.
To me?
Yes, you,
Okay.
President Zelensky.
Thank you very much.
That's some question. Right?
So many questions in one. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I think we need to sit and speak. The second point, we need ceasefire. Even now, you see in the Middle East, it's very difficult to hold ceasefire. Everywhere, in every war, it's very difficult. We want peace. Putin doesn't want. That's why we need pressure on him. We will speak with President today what we need. We understand what we need to push Putin to negotiation table. And as I said previously, so we are ready to speak in any kind of format, bilateral, trilateral, doesn't matter. Matter just peace. This is important. And we don't speak about NATO or NATO. For Ukrainians, it's very important. Of course, it's our decision, decisions of allies to decide where we are.
But are you willing to give
Yes, but the most important thing for people in Ukraine, which are under each day's attacks, to have really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best, but weapon is very important. Allies on our side is very important, and between us, for us, bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important. I don't know, we didn't speak with details about it, but this is the most important document because the United States is very strong.
Sir, President Trump, you are the middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict. Who is doing a better job negotiating, President Zelensky or President Putin?
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to take some of the hatred of each other. You know, they don't like each other. I say that in front of President Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. They have tremendous bad blood. It really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done, and we have to make it long-lasting. As I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting. And the Middle East is a much more complicated situation. You know, we had 59 countries involved, and every one of them agreed. And it's, you know, it's sort of amazing. Most people didn't think that was doable. This is going to be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
Hablando el presidente de Estados Unidos, Donald Trump, sobre la relación entre Putin y Zelensky, sobre si puede sentar a los dos en la misma mesa de negociaciones. Le preguntaba también quién está negociando mejor. Dice el propio Trump que tanto Putin como Zelensky están negociando muy bien, que están siendo muy duros, pero dice que hay un problema, que hay mucha mala sangre entre ellos, que no se soportan. Vamos a seguir escuchando a Donald Trump.
Now to finish this war, President Biden now is not the president, so he doesn't have a chance to finish this war. And President Trump is really showed for the world that he can manage ceasefire in the Middle East, and that's why I hope that he will do this, and we will also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big chance, and I hope that President Trump can manage it.
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
Mr. President.
Sir, a few weeks ago in New York when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of
You never know. Look, you know, war is very interesting. You never know, do you? You just never know. With war and peace, but you never know.
Are you ready to
Please.
Russia calls Tomahawk supply to Ukraine as an escalation, yet it continues using similar cruise missiles like Caliber. And
Who are you with? Who are you with? Ukraine?
Yeah.
Good.
But Russia continued even using the cruise missiles and also nuclear-capable ballistic missiles in Ukraine since 2022. So do you consider providing Ukraine with the Tomahawk or similar missiles as an opportunity to equalize the possibilities of Ukraine and Russia and push Moscow to the negotiation?
Yeah, sure. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here. Okay? Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it, but we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, a message to India and Hungary who is still refusing.
You said India and Hungary? That's an interesting.
And Hungary.
India and Hungary. It's an interesting combination.
Refuse to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore. And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. They're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia.
Seguimos escuchando a Donald Trump hablando ahora sobre las compras de petróleo ruso por parte de India. Esta semana decía que Modi le había confirmado que van a dejar de comprar gradualmente el petróleo ruso. Trump vuelve a insistir en esto. Hay que saber que en India están negando estas informaciones. Mientras tanto, Zelensky también aumenta la presión sobre Putin. Le dice a Trump que ya ha conseguido el alto el fuego en Oriente Medio, que es el momento de conseguirlo en Ucrania, pero matiza. Dice Zelensky que Putin no está preparado para la paz. Dice que saben lo que hace falta para ello. Deja entrever que va a pedir los Tomahawk. Seguimos escuchando de nuevo a Donald Trump.
I think in bringing it to the fore, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000 and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
President Trump, if you okay tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the tomahawks? Do we have enough?
That's a problem. We need tomahawks and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. We need tomahawks, or we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
Just to understand. So for today, of course, we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have tomahawks. That's why we need tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production, and the United States has tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles. But they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
And so just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade. If President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch...
Ya ha salido a discusión lo que es sin duda uno de los temas centrales de esta conversación entre Trump y Zelensky, el tema de los Tomahawks. Decía Trump que ya tenía una decisión, lleva avisando sobre esto varias semanas, parece que hay un frenazo. Dice Trump que Estados Unidos necesita los Tomahawks y que Ucrania con suerte no lo va a necesitar. Dice que es muy optimista, que están muy cerca del alto el fuego. Zelensky hablaba también de los drones, parece que no está muy contento con esta decisión de Donald Trump. Seguimos escuchando al presidente de Estados Unidos.
Warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. We knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth, they were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, I have an obligation also, though, to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about Tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need Tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. we're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people. Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. I mean, mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end. And if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it. But I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done. And I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along a little bit.
Can you give us an update on the trade negotiations with China, or perhaps Secretary Bessent?
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China would like to have something. As of this moment, we'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea.
You think
myself.
Go forward?
I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because it was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing. But I put on very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back, and we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea a couple of weeks.
Donald Trump repitiendo el mensaje que calmaba a los mercados en el día de hoy, en lo que apuntaba a ser un viernes negro. Decía Trump que se lleva muy bien con Xi Jinping, ha confirmado que va a reunirse dentro de 2 semanas en la reunión de la APEC. Vuelve a insistir en este mensaje, Trump diciendo pues que se lleva muy bien con China y que no va a haber problemas, que pueden llegar a un acuerdo y pueden reunirse dentro de 2 semanas. En Corea del Sur seguimos escuchando a Donald Trump.
The Vice Premier, who is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I and a delegation will meet in Malaysia probably a week from tomorrow to prepare for the 2 presidents to meet. So I think that things have de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them. And I am confident that President Trump, because of his relationship with President Xi, will be able to get things back on a good course.
Is the hope for that meeting with you and President Xi some kind of trade deal then, or
could be? Look, I think we're in a very strong position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted, a 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%. And China doesn't want that, and they want to talk, and we're talking. And I think we'll make a deal that will be good for both. I think we will do something. But you have to understand, we never got anything from China. It was a one-way street. For many years, for decades, it was a one-way street. And they became rich because of the United States. And frankly, presidents that, let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand what was happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in amazement at how stupid our country was, how stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore. And that includes with the European Union, that includes with Japan and South Korea. All we want to do is be treated fairly. But the fairly is hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars coming into the United States. And it's our national security is secure because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would have no national security. So it's very important.
Will you seek China's help in ending the war in Ukraine? Do you need them to put pressure on Russia?
I'll be discussing that, but I'd love to see it ended before that.
President,
I mean, I think we have a chance of ending the war quickly if flexibility is shown on behalf, and again, we're not losing people. The United States is not, we're not losing people, we're not spending money, we're getting paid for the, ammunition and missiles and everything else that we're sending to the European Union, but to NATO. But it's very similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very similar. And we just made a very fair trade deal with the European Union, and what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. They pay for all of this. That's not what we're in this for. We're in it to save thousands of lives every week. Thousands and thousands of lives. That's why we're in it. And I think we have a very good chance of bringing this war to a conclusion.
He's president, and your cabinet has done honestly an excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American leaders, to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts who often speak about conflict in abstract or strategic terms rather than the human cost and the human terms?
Look, my only statement is we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator president. And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other and when they get together and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around, maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance and we're going to see if we can get it done. This is number 9, okay? This will be number 9 for me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East. I've solved 8. This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. We solved, President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, all of the different wars. He said it was amazing because but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle, and I think we will be able to settle.
Yes, sir. On that note, you will go down as the peacemaker, no doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. Go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan, look at Thailand, look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman, very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve